I'm very excited to be joined tonight by an incredible director, Kaouther Ben Hania, who is a two-time Oscar-nominated director, celebrated for films including The Man Who Sold His Skin for Best International Feature, Four Daughters for Best Documentary Feature, a true favorite of mine and Ted's, and now The Voice of Hind Rajab, which is Tunisia's Oscar entry, shortlisted for Best International Feature. And her films have premiered and won major prizes at Cannes, at Venice, and beyond. Kaouther, you have made a genuinely incredible film I truly love, and it embodies everything that excites me about contemporary political cinema. It is urgent, it is emotionally devastating, and formally daring all at the same time. So first, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you for this introduction and thank you for your words.
Pleasure. Your film begins from a single emergency call. The Red Crescent volunteers are on the line with a 5-year-old girl who is trapped under Israeli fire in Gaza, pleading for rescue. Your film makes it clear that any serious notion of peace has to start from the lives and the deaths of girls like Hind. Can you take us back to that first time you heard that recording and what moved you from shock and grief into the decision this has to become a film?
Yes, I remember exactly when I heard the voice of Hind Rajab for the first time. I mean, it's the title of the movie, but it started like this with the voice of Hind Rajab. I was on internet scrolling I was doing the Oscar campaign of my previous movie, For Daughters. I was also glued to the news, following what was happening and asking myself question about um, what does it mean to be a filmmaker when the unthinkable is happening, you know? And I was also about to start the pre-production of another movie I've been working on for several years, and it was almost fully financed. And I heard the voice of Hind Rajab. It was in social media. The Red Crescent, the Palestinian Red Crescent, shared a small part of the recording on internet. And once you hear her voice, you can't unhear it, you know. And I remember exactly the feeling, the emotion I had at this exact moment when you hear this child begging for life. It was something about anger, about sadness, about helplessness. And I hate it when I feel helpless, you know. I was asking myself, what can I do? I can do movies, you know, a little bit. I know how to do a movie. So the impulsive reaction was I need to do something because staying silent is complicity in a way, you know. And it started like this, you know, I wanted to shout, but I'm privileged because I have this incredible, amazing tool called cinema, where I can honor this voice, you know. So it started like this with this feeling, and my main idea was to share this feeling with the audience through the making of a movie.
I'm so happy that you really put all your time and effort into making this film, that you managed to pause another film you were in the middle of and you just redirected all of your attention, because I think all of us in the world feel the same helplessness and terror and confusion and horror at what we're witnessing. So you have this real recording as the spine of the film, but also many unknowns about what happened in and around the car where Hind was trapped. The film makes it impossible to see her case as exceptional. It becomes a lens on how the entire, quote, security system that we live with in this world is designed to sacrifice women and children first. And we really feel this with your film. I wonder what ethical rules you set for yourself about what could be reconstructed or imagined or staged, and where did you decide to stop and leave silence or ambiguity?
This is a great question because this is the first question I asked myself when I started how to do at the same time an impactful and also respectful movie. The equation is not easy at all. So I thought about several things. You put on the table when you start filmmaking all the possibility or all the choices that you can make. And as you say, the voice, the recording is the spine of this movie. And it started, my movies start with an image. This one started with a sound. So I knew from the beginning that the sound will be the backbone of the film. And when you listen to those, to those recording, it's visual. It's a sound. So I knew that there is no way I'll do the mise en scène of Hind in the car. For me, this is a red line. We have her voice, we have to honor her voice. Filming all this have no meaning. So I needed also, to have a distance. I was talking about respect, distance. And this distance, the perspective of the Red Crescent dispatcher, those who listened, is the right perspective. They are not in Gaza, they are in the West Bank and in Ramallah. And they are in a way like all of us, as you said, witnessing, hearing, please help me, get me out, So for me, their perspective was the right one. And I wanted also to show in which horrible, dilemma they are put on because their job is to save lives. So for me, their perspective was important in many ways. And then came the question of the form. Should I do a pure documentary? Although I hate the word pure because there is nothing pure about documentary, um, so I thought that, this movie was anchored in truth because there was so many investigation done around the case of the murder of Hind Rajab. There is a great piece in the Washington Post with all the details, the used weapon, based on the great work of the forensic architect who analyzed the sound, the satellite image. So all this, document, let's say, I was like, I don't need to do a documentary to prove, to explain and to talk about this event like it was an event in the past, and we'll give you, all the elements. And I thought that was already done, in journalistic work. And also there was a documentary done by Al Jazeera with those elements. And I thought that I needed to do a movie, and I was thinking about the respect, but the impact also, I needed to do a movie in the present tense. I needed to go back to this moment when I heard her voice for the first time and the feeling I had, not explain, I want people to feel what I felt. And this is the power of cinema because it's the art of emotion, the art of empathy, So the option to do this documentary with proof and explanation was taken away from the table. And since I wanted to do a movie in the present tense with the impact of I felt how you go, which form, which tool of cinema you will use to go back to this moment, when she was alive, when it was possible to save her. And I thought about reenactment simply, bringing actor. But at the same time, I knew that it's a risky choice. I'm like telling you all the doubt I had, and I was scared to death because every choice is, something that is, it means something, So the fact that I made this choice to bring actors on the table, the risk is that, head of the audience, actors are linked to lies, artifice. And I needed those actors to do a film in the present tense, but also I needed to tell the audience, those are actors. Let's have a clear contract from the beginning, The voices are real and those are actors. And you will see during the movie, even the actors can't act, they stop acting at some point and they listen to the the voice of the real dispatcher till the end when the actor are out of focus and we see the real person on this phone? So all those elements, the ethical question, there was also another question about the sound, the recording. Because the recording, when I heard it, it's a recording of a call center. So it's not clean. And in documentary, in general, you can't ask for the silence because we have small crew, and you can clean the sound because you can't. So the question with my sound designer was, should we clean the sound of Hind? And the decision we made at the end, no, we should not touch the recording. We should keep it as it is, with the scratch, with the interference, with everything. So those were like, in every step during the making of the movie, there was a lot of lines, where to stop, what to show. And as I said, I had all those elements because I had all the investigative work, but I had also the work I did talking hours and hours with the mother, with the dispatcher, Omar Rana, the real one, Mahdi, and gathering all the element around the recording, which was the backbone of the movie. And mainly the writing, the development was work of editing, to like make all those elements of research coherent in one strong, impactful piece.
Brilliant. I think that you completely succeed in a highly, highly ethical set of decisions as a director by centering Hind and her female relatives and the Red Crescent workers around her. You make visible the women and girls who are usually statistics in conflict reporting. They're just numbers, and the death tolls are horrific, and no one can process that quantity. And by
No.
focusing in the way you chose to do, you bring so much resonance to the whole story of what is going on. I think you have answered this a little already. I don't know if you want to go more onto this question of how you found that right balance between the documentary backbone of the call and the dramatic embodiment of people trying to save her. I mean, I think what you described of letting the audience know these are the actors, this is the real voice of Hind. It's so powerful and effective, and yet the actors who are in it, you feel them going through as if they were their
Yeah.
actual Red Crescent workers. I think maybe it's something you created in the environment, maybe?
Yeah, I can talk about the environment to create this because, as I said in the beginning, doing this in the present tense was for me very important. So with the actors, it was, also an impossible equation. I needed to be faithful to what was said by their the dispatcher they are playing. I needed them to learn word by word, so it was very precise. But also I needed them to be in the present moment, not to act as actor. I wanted something authentic, almost like a documentary approach. So how you get all this, which is looks like contradiction. So what we did technically is that I took the recording and I took out the voice of Hind Rajab. And I gave them, to each one of them, the recording to learn their lines, to say it as the real person said this. So they took the time to learn perfectly their lines, like in a very, very technical way. And the day of the shooting, we gave them only the sound of Hind. So they were receiving the voice of this little girl, knowing their lines, but their reaction to the voice were genuine. It wasn't performance. Like they were saying the lines, but feeling at the same time. It like propulsed them. I don't know what is the English word. It threw them to this moment where the real dispatcher were hearing the voice of Hind Rajab for the first time, because this is what happened with the actor.
It's phenomenal, and you feel the emotion is so, so powerful. I really need to compliment you and say that I love how your film shows peace and security. There's a whole rubric in the United States we had to create called Women, Peace, and Security, because first, they forget that women exist. Second, they forget that we matter to peace and to security. Actually, we matter more than men in many cases. Your film shows how peace and security is not in conference rooms, but in the care work, in the coordination and the emotional labor women do and care workers do in the middle of chaos. So again, you've spoken to this a little. I don't know if you want to speak more, but from a craft perspective as a director, how did you and your sound team think about building the whole sonic space that honors the original recording but functions as a cinematic experience? I think you've given us a sense of how you did this with the actors, maybe how it became so cinematic because it is very cinematic and we see the recording on screen.
Yes, as I said, I thought about cinema as a great tool because I heard the voice of Hind Rajab for the first time in social media, and social media are about amnesia. You scroll, so an event make you forget another, and for me, it was a horrible place to listen to the voice of Hind Rajab. So I was thinking of cinema like a place where you can have the attention of people, to listen carefully and to understand. So the form, the cinematic form, and how what cinema can do, was something that I asked myself a lot. And I told you earlier on in the conversation that I was depressed. I was glued to the news and asking myself questions about my work as a filmmaker, as a storyteller. And I think there is a paradox by making this movie out of a feeling of helplessness. I made peace with cinema. I found like the utility, I would say, of making movies, because sometimes when you have this feeling of anger, it become great energy. And the fact that we were gathered together around the voice of Hind Rajab, my actors, for example, all of them are Palestinian, and they were asking themselves same questions. What does it mean to be actor? Are we, when you see your people on the news, you see, those horrible images. And the fact that we were together around this project gave us meaning, in cinema, in art, as a great tool. So I don't know if answered your question, but
Yes,
but
yes, yes, you have.
yeah.
Mhm. Um, I wanna compliment you again and say, I think in that overcoming of helplessness through art, which you achieve, which I hope every artist and filmmaker can feel inspired by, because the more people take action the way you have as a director, the better the world will be. I mean, I think that's a real hope. But your film captures how male supremacy is the operating system of war and security, deciding whether a child and which child is allowed to live. And I think, again, it's the choices you've made as a director, who your camera is focused on and why, that is succeeding in this and is so brilliantly emotionally moving. I'm going to jump to the way that the project was assembled. You put together a remarkable group of executive producers, and I'm curious how those partnerships came about, if those producers or EPs are raising the visibility and the reach of your story in a way that you imagine and hope it will.
Yeah, when we finished the editing of this movie, and since I am doing, I came from this place where um I'm not doing commercial movie with stars, and I'm doing documentary movies. I'm doing Arabic speaking movies, so movies with subtitles. So the market is not waiting for me. And when I did this movie, one of my obsession is to make the voice of Hind Rajab echo. So how to go out from this niche place, where you are, because you are not from a dominant culture. You are women, you are documentary filmmaker, all the things that the market don't want to hear about. So we had this idea with my producers that maybe we need some support, to take the movie outside from this niche thing. And I was thinking also about the American audience, because for me it's important that they see this movie. And I thought that I don't want only American who are interested in those kind of subject. I want regular American to watch it. So we had this idea to show it in the business around us to several well-known person, maybe we will have the support of one of them, and our surprise was that all of them loved the movie, were touched by the movie, and they wanted to support, in any way. So this is how we found ourselves with this incredible list in the credits, like it was beyond my expectation, but yeah, and it's helpful. We live in this world where we need, help
Yeah.
to make the voice of this little girl echo, because we can agree that it's not like we want to hear her voice. No, because it's shameful for humanity, let's say.
Yes. 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 And for me, the film functions both as an act of mourning and as part of this collective demand for accountability, which I think your whole producing team and all of these executive producers bring, which I think is probably, a gift you've given them to allow them to be a part of it and to promote it and to share it, because I really think everyone feels the shamefulness of this war and this genocide and all of it. It's horrific what's going on. Hind's call was already widely shared by media, human rights groups before the film, and international bodies have said that the killing of Hind and her family and the two Red Crescent paramedics may amount to a war crime. So I'm wondering, do you see the Voice of Hind Rajab as part of an evidentiary record, as an act of mourning, as something else? You've said what you feel with cinema, what it can do, but I think maybe there's more that this movie is doing than we've even begun to understand, the ripple effects of this movie.
Yeah, this is a great question, because I thought there was this question: why you are doing this movie now? And I when I started, thinking about the movie, the genocide was ongoing, and when I ended, and when I was in Venice, at Venice Film Festival, the genocide was ongoing. And people were telling me, oh, it's too close, to the event. And I was like, what I need to wait for, You think that there will be trial? You think that there will be accountability? I need to do this movie right now, because I think if it's unbearable and if it's shameful, and it will be, maybe this is my hope, a part of asking for accountability, asking for justice, because without accountability and without justice, we'll not have peace. It's obvious. So I also conceived this movie as a tool for change, and we are trying to go outside from the movie theater, which are very important, but to show this movie at the United Nations, for example. We showed it for several senators. We are having screening at the European Parliament. So we are trying, like to and a lot of NGO partnered with the movie, like Oxfam, like Amnesty, like the Red Cross, to use it as a tool also. So I want to believe that cinema can be part of the change.
And you're doing it. I think that that's what you're doing, is building this global solidarity. It's a movement. There are more of us than there are of them who are perpetrating these bad acts, and we really need to feel that and be in solidarity, and your film brings us together.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last question. So we let you go. I know you're very busy and so grateful. I have really a million questions for you, so I'm excited I get to see you again. I need to download your brain. But anyway, after spending so much time with this recording, with the Red Crescent teams, and with Hind's absence, your film leaves the audience with so many urgent questions rather than easy answers, which is very valuable. But are there questions that you were left with as an artist that you feel will be incorporated into your next film? Are you building this into your body of work?
This is a very complex question, because we are not talking about the movie, about the body of work. First of all, because I did Four Daughters, and before Four Daughters, because I did all those movies, it gave me the tools to do the voice of Hind Rajab the way I did it. So I think about my movies like, acquiring new tools, to explore new territory in every movie. And actually, I told you in the beginning that I was about to shoot another movie, and I put it aside to shoot the Voice of Hind Rajab because for me it was important, and it was almost a question of death or life or something like this. And then when I shot the Voice of Hind Rajab, I went back to this project, and it's already wrapped. And I need to find time, to start the editing. But it's a story that is about my an obsession that I've been thinking about a lot, that people don't like facts. They love hearing a beautiful story. So the movie is built around a beautiful story, and how this beautiful story was built, during the history, so people can, and when you remind them the fact, they don't want to hear the fact. And this is something very important because it's about cinema, it's about storytelling, but it's also about my documentary inside, the facts and how we deal with all those elements. So for me, it will be like a movie where through story, because it's a fictional movie, I'll explore all those elements, of storytelling, facts, document and fiction.
I cannot wait to see your next film. This is amazing. We have to tell everyone where they can see The Voice of Hind Rajab now, because it's urgent that everyone go see this film. And if there's somewhere they can find your schedule and follow you, we should tell them.
Yeah, there is the website of the movie, The Voice of Hind Rajab, and there is also the Instagram page of the movie where they can find, and the movie was released in New York and LA, and now it's going a little bit to other cities, so they can check on the internet and go and watch the movie to bear witness,
Yes.
but also to do something about it and to amplify the voice of Hind Rajab.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kauther. This has been really amazing, an honor to speak with you. I know you have a very busy schedule, so thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. It's so wonderful to speak with you. Thank you for all those questions, for this conversation. Thank you
No,
very
no.